The cold, damp walls seemed alive, whispering secrets that made her skin crawl. Ada sat trembling in the dark corner of the unfamiliar room, nails pulled to her chest. She didn't know how she got there, only flashes of strange faces, blinding lights, and a sickening stench lingered in her memory. All she knew was one thing: she wanted to go home. Ada was an 18-year-old girl with bright dreams, but a shadow of poverty hanging over her family. Her father, once a proud mechanic, had been cheated in a business deal that left the family bankrupt. Ada's mother, a petty trader, struggled to feed the family of 6. Despite these challenges, Ada clung to hope. Foiled by her dream of becoming a nurse, her younger siblings adored her. Ada often stayed up late, helping them with their homework or telling them folktales that masked the harsh realities of their lives. But recently, life had become unbearable. When their landlord issued an eviction notice, Ada overheard her parents arguing late into the night. She resolved to help, even if it meant leaving home. One fateful evening, their neighbor, Auntie Chinwe, visited with a bold proposal. "Let Ada come to Lagos with me," Chinwe suggested. "She can help in my shop. I'll pay her well, and she'll learn a trade." Her parents hesitated. Chinwe was friendly but distant, her true character unknown, but Ada begged them to let her go. Lagos sounded like an escape from their financial struggles and a chance to send money home. Reluctantly, her parents agreed, though her mother cried as she packed a small bag for Ada. "If anything happens, come back," her mother whispered. "Promise me," Ada promised. The journey began at dawn. Chinwe's old ricketing car was filled with an odd mix of goods, large bags of rice, cartons of canned food, and a strange bundle covered in black cloth. The drive was long and filled with uneasy silence. At one point, they stopped at a remote gas station where Chinwe spoke with 2 men in hushed tones. Ada noticed them glancing at her, their eyes cold and calculating. "Who are they?" Ada asked. "Business partners," Chinwe replied. Courtly, her earlier warmth replaced by irritation. The road became rougher as they veered off the main highway into a dense forest. Ada's unease grew. "This doesn't look like Lagos," she murmured. "Patience," Chinwe snapped. "We'll rest here tonight." The car pulled up to a decrepit compound surrounded by trees. The air was heavy with the smell of decay. The house was dimly light, its walls covered in strange faded symbols. A lone bulb flickered in the hallway. Ada's room was bare except for a bed and a cracked mirror. She tried to protest, but Chinwe dismissed her concerns. "Lagos tomorrow," Chinwe said, locking the door behind her. Ada sat on the bed, clutching her bag. As the night deepened, she heard muffled voices and what sounded like chanting. Fear gripped her, but exhaustion eventually overtook her. She woke to scream in the distance. Days turned into a blur. The door remained locked, and Chinwe only visited to bring her meals. Ada begged to be released, but Chinwe's cold eyes offered no sympathy. "You are here for a reason," Chinwe finally said one evening. "What reason?" Ada demanded. "You'll find out soon enough," Chinwe replied, a smile chilling. Desperation set in. Ada searched the room for anything that could help her escape. The mirror on the wall seemed off. Its surface shimmered unnaturally at times. When Ada stared into it, she thought she saw shadows moving behind her. One evening, Ada overheard a conversation between Chinwe and another woman. "She's perfect," the other woman said. "The spirit will be pleased." Ada's heart raised, listening intently. She learned a plan to use her for a ritual sacrifice, meant to bring wealth and power to their group. Panic overwhelmed her. She clawed at the walls, screamed for help, but the compound was eerily quiet. The next day, Chinwe brought a red wrapper and beads. "Put this on," she ordered. Ada refused. Chinwe slapped her hard across the face, leaving her dazed. "You will obey," Chinwe snarled. That night, Ada resolved to escape. She pried a nail and spent hours sharpening it against the floor. At midnight, she heard footsteps approaching. As Chinwe entered, Ada attacked, plugging the nail into her arm. Chinwe screamed and Ada bolted out the door. The house was a maze. She stumbled into a room filled with ritual artifacts, animal bones, blood-stained clothes, and photographs of other girls. Tears blurred her vision as she realized the horrific truth. She wasn't the first, and she might not be the last. Ada ran into the forest, the trees closing in around her. The night was alive with strange sounds, whispers, rustling leaves, and distant cries. She tripped over roots and scraped her arms against stones but kept moving. Behind her, she heard Chinwe and others shouting. Their voices were getting closer. Don't let her escape. The forest seemed endless. Just as her strength gave up, Ada stumbled onto a dirt road and collapsed. A truck driver found her and took her to the nearest town. At the police station, Ada recounted her ordeal, but when she gave her home address, the officer exchanged uneasy glance. Your family home, one officer began. It burned down last week. No survivors. Ada's words crumbled. Her escape had come too late. Weeks later, Ada stayed in a shelter haunted by nightmares. People called her lucky to have survived, but she didn't feel lucky. One evening, an old woman, Mama Emeka, visited her. Your spirit is strong, she said, but evil still lingers around you. Mama Emeka performed a cleansing ritual, but it left Ada with more questions than answers. The old woman warned her, the evil that pursued you is not done. Be vigilant. But months passed. Ada had started a new life in a quiet town far from the shadows of her past. She worked diligently in a small bakery, her hands kneading dough by day and her mind processing her trauma by night. She tried to mask the pain, but her heart still ached for her family and the home she had lost. One evening, after her shift, she returned to her small apartment. As she set down her bag, she noticed a letter on her bed. It wasn't just the appearance of the letter. It was the handwriting, and it read, "You escaped, but you belong to us. You will come back." Ada's blood turned cold. Her pulse raised as she scanned the room. Fearing she wasn't alone, she bolted the door and sat on the bed, clutching the letter. "I just want to go home," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Hours later, exhausted and emotionally drained, Ada fell asleep. In her dreams, she saw her family. They stood together in the compound of their old home, smiling warmly. Her mother stepped forward and spoke. "Home is not a place, Ada. It is the love and strength you carry within you. No matter where you go, you carry us with you. Be brave." Ada woke with a start, her mother's words echoing in her mind. For the first time in months, she felt a sense of calm. Determined to confront her fears, Ada took the letter to Mama Emeka, the spiritual healer who had helped her before. Mama Emeka examined the letter and said, "The evil that pursues you feeds on your fear. It wants you to feel powerless, but you are stronger than you know." The old woman performed the final cleansing ritual, this time guiding Ada to confront her past head on. Together, they light a small fire, and Ada burned the letter, watching the flames consume it. "You have freed yourself," Mama Emeka said. "No one can take that from you." With Mama Emeka's guidance, Ada started to heal. She sought therapy at a local center for trauma survivors, slowly learning to open up and share her story. The community embraced her, offering support and kindness. Months later, Ada sat in her cozy apartment, a small plant by the window, reminding her of her mother's garden. She looked at the sky, a soft smile on her face. Though the pain of loss lingered, she no longer felt trapped by it. "I am home," she whispered to herself. Her journey had been one of heartbreak and terror, but it had also been one of resilience and rebirth. Ada had found her strength. Though the scars remained, she knew she had the power to create her own sense of home wherever life took her.